Yes, my friends, things are heated behind the scenes for the Steelers. Just imagine, the future of the Black and Gold's 2025 season may not depend on an exciting new draft pick or a high-profile free agent signing, but on a risky bet between two polarizing quarterbacks, one a familiar face, the other a seasoned veteran who's seen better days. There's tension in the air, and depending on one crucial decision, this franchise could be on the verge of a resurgence or stuck in mediocrity. But before we dive into this quarterback dilemma, make sure you've hit that like button if you're a true Steelers fan. It's always great to see fans of all generations here. If you'd like, comment something like, "Go Steelers, nothing's stopping us." So, let's get to it, straight to the point. The Pittsburgh Steelers are currently in quarterback limbo, riding heavily on whether Aaron Rodgers decides to sign or officially retire. Since March, this potential signing has been a fixture of every decision, every discussion, and every photo taken during the offseason. But here's the surprise. The front office isn't sitting on its hands. While Rodgers remains the top option, there's growing buzz around two very different alternative plans, keeping the loyal Mason Rudolph or trading for the experienced but aging Kirk Cousins. Let's break it down. If Rodgers walks away, the immediate plan inside the Steelers camp seems to be rolling with Mason Rudolph. The locker room likes him, he knows the system, and he's got time in OTAs to gear up. But here's the kicker. Pittsburgh doesn't appear ready to completely bank on Rudolph alone. They're eyeing a fourth quarterback addition before training camp begins. And when it comes to win-now scenarios, particularly for veterans like Cam Hayward, whose career window is narrowing, the Steelers might prefer a veteran quarterback who gives them a real shot at a playoff run. Enter Kirk Cousins. The 36-year-old QB is currently sitting with the Atlanta Falcons but could be on the Steelers' radar if Rodgers steps away. Why Cousins? Because he's a seasoned pro with a ton of NFL snaps under his belt, and frankly, not many teams are in the market for a starting QB right now. He's available, and he fits. Cousins brings intelligence, leadership, and a mastery of West Coast offenses, traits that align well with the Steelers' current coaching direction. He's accurate, anticipates throws, and knows how to operate under pressure. But it's not all sunshine. His arm strength took a nosedive last season, possibly due to it being his first year back from an Achilles injury. There's hope it rebounds this year, but at 36, that's far from guaranteed. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room, Cousins' contract. Sure, next season's $27.5 million cap hit is manageable, but 2026 and 2027 jump to $45 million each. That's a steep price for a quarterback who ended his last season with 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions over the final 5 games. The idea is to structure the trade similarly to what they did for Justin Fields, a conditional 6th-round pick that could become a 5th-rounder, depending on how much Cousins plays. Statistically, Cousins still outshone Rudolph last season. Higher completion percentage, better yards per attempt, more efficient EPA per play, even with that awful final stretch. Yet, fans and analysts are asking the same critical question. Is Cousins enough of an upgrade over Rudolph to justify taking on his hefty salary and sacrificing a draft pick? Some believe the answer is no. They argue this team isn't winning it all this year, even with Rodgers, so why overpay for a 1-year rental when 2026 could bring a fresh quarterback via the draft? The other side sees Cousins as a bridge, a competent, proven leader who can keep this team competitive while a long-term solution develops in the background. But if neither Rodgers nor Cousins pan out, the Steelers' fallback options dwindle quickly. Will Howard? Promising, but not NFL ready. Ryan Tannehill? Hasn't played since 2023. Carson Wentz? Inaccurate and unreliable. Teddy Bridgewater? Out of the league too long. Will Levis? High upside but riddled with inaccuracy and a losing record as a starter. None inspire confidence in a playoff push. So now we turn to you, Steelers Nation. The question is looming larger with every passing day. If Aaron Rodgers retires, who should be the Steelers' starting quarterback? Is Kirk Cousins worth the risk, or should Mason Rudolph finally get his shot to lead the team for a full season? What do you think, Steelers fans? Would you be willing to roll the dice on a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins who's trying to rebound from a brutal finish to last season? Or do you believe in the steady hand and team-first mentality of Mason Rudolph, who may not have the flash but knows the locker room and offensive system inside out? The debate is heating up across the Steel City. For every fan hopeful that Cousins could replicate a Brett Favre to the Vikings type of comeback, there's another just as skeptical, recalling his late-season collapse with the Falcons. And then there's the price tag, not just financially, but in terms of draft capital. Are the Steelers really in a position to absorb a $45 million a year commitment for a quarterback whose recent production has been average at best? Mason Rudolph, on the other hand, remains the dark horse. He hasn't had a full season as the clear starter, but he's hung around the NFL long enough for a reason. The team trusts him. He's gotten better with time. And unlike many other options, he doesn't cost draft picks or a mountain of cash. But does he offer enough firepower to get this team past the gauntlet that is the AFC North? And if we shift the lens just a bit wider, the Steelers' situation becomes even more complicated. Will Howard, the sixth-round rookie, is clearly not ready to start, and throwing him into the fire could ruin his development. Free agent options like Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz, or Teddy Bridgewater are nothing more than insurance policies, not season-saving moves. Even Will Levis, a former starter with raw potential, has accuracy issues and brings back memories of QB rooms that have failed to produce playoff wins. So the front office faces a harsh reality. There are no perfect options. It's a matter of choosing the best among flawed alternatives. Cousins may give Pittsburgh the best short-term ceiling, but he also presents serious long-term risks. Rudolph offers stability and affordability, but possibly at the cost of limited upside. It all comes back to one central question. Are the Steelers trying to win now, or is this year more about building toward the future? The answer to that question likely depends on how the rest of the roster shapes up during camp. Cam Hayward's career clock is ticking. DK Metcalf is now part of the offense. Najee Harris continues to be a bell cow in the backfield. The defense is still elite. This team has talent, but without a clear leader under center, it could all unravel quickly. What direction will the Steelers ultimately take? Will they make a bold move and bring in a veteran like Cousins in hopes of one last run with their aging core? Or will they choose consistency and chemistry over experience and ride with Rudolph, betting on continuity and growth from within? Sound off in the comments, Steelers Nation. What would you do if you were in Omar Khan's shoes? Trade for Kirk Cousins or stick with Mason Rudolph? Let's hear it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash the like if you're enjoying the content. Check out the next video on your screen. We've got more deep dives into Steelers strategy and the latest training camp buzz coming your way. Let's go Steelers! Now let's talk about the ripple effects this quarterback decision could have on the rest of the roster. Because whether it's Kirk Cousins or Mason Rudolph under center, this isn't just about who takes the snaps. It's about setting the tone for the entire 2025 campaign. First, the wide receiver room. DK Metcalf, now wearing number 4 in Pittsburgh, is expected to be the centerpiece of this offense. His physicality, speed, and big play ability make him a threat on every down. But let's be real, Metcalf isn't the kind of receiver you pair with a quarterback who struggles to stretch the field. If Cousins' arm strength doesn't bounce back in year 2 post-Achilles, can he still make those sideline bombs or deep over routes that Metcalf thrives on? On the flip side, can Rudolph deliver those same throws with consistency, or will the offense lean even more into quick passes and underneath routes? Then you've got the running game. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren form one of the most physical and balanced backfield tandems in the league. A steady quarterback like Rudolph could support the run-heavy approach Pittsburgh loves, especially behind an improving offensive line. But if the Steelers bring in Cousins, expect more balance, more play action, more intermediate throws, more pressure on the QB to keep defenses honest. The offensive identity shifts significantly depending on who's calling the signals. The tight ends, Pat Freiermuth, a reliable target in the middle of the field, could benefit from either quarterback, but especially from Cousins, who thrives when attacking short to intermediate zones. It's worth noting that this is an area where Cousins excels and where Rudolph has yet to fully showcase his ability over a long stretch.